Hi guys, it's Sarah from Laurels9314, and today I will be reviewing Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Yes, I finally finished it. It was the second book in my RibSat TBR. I still have Soundless Zodiac and Rebel Bell left, and the competition. Sorry, that hurt to move. Ends tomorrow. Not the competition, I don't know how to call it. The readathon ends tomorrow, if any of you want to know. It ends tomorrow, so I'm at least trying to get at least 3 books done because I only got like this much left in Soundless. But right now I'm talking about my second book, which is Throne of Glass, which I roughly gave a 7 out of 10 stars because the main character really bothered me in a lot of parts. It wasn't that she was like super bad, but for an assassin, she got really annoying at times. And when I think of assassins, I think of really kick-ass characters, and while she was kick-ass at some parts, she reminded me of a teenager in other parts. And yes, I get it, she's only 18 years old, so technically she is still a teenager. But I'm talking about, like, a teenager these days. Well, I shouldn't say that because some teenagers act better than this. But I found her really rather whiny at some parts. Not to say that she's not a good character, but the reason why I kept on reading this was because of Kale, because I'm Team Kale. I ship Kale and Selena so much. I think he matures her just a little tiny bit more than Dorian does, even though I don't hate Dorian and Selena together either. I prefer her with Kale for reasons I'll go into on my spoiler review. So if you want to know my thoughts and you don't care about being spoiled, stick with my spoiler review. And if you want to know, or you don't want to know and you don't want to be spoiled, click off this video right now because I'm about to spoil Throne of Glass and why I gave it 7 out of 10 when most people give it like a very high up rating. So bye, non-spoilerly people, bye. Okay, so the reason why I'm gonna put this book down for a little bit, just so I can have my hands free. Let's start off with the characters. Selena, for an assassin, she really didn't do anything assassin-like, until the end of the book. And if you are writing a book about assassins, you have to have me intrigued, making me really think that this girl is an assassin rather than a normal teenage girl. If that makes sense. It just, it kind of irked me a little bit because Selena reminds me of, like, not even an 18-year-old. She reminds me of a 15-year-old girl based off some of her attitude problems that she has. And I want this, I want that. Describing her clothes. I like how, I like kick-ass assassins who still like wearing pretty dresses, but you don't need to explain to me 20,000 times what you're wearing. I really don't care what you're wearing. You're supposed to be a kick-butt assassin. Not to say that assassins can't look pretty, but you don't see everyone and their mother in freaking what's it called? Yeah. Oh yeah, Fallen Kingdoms. In fucking Fallen Kingdoms, going like, I wore a dress made of teal today, or a pink. I think the only times that ever really happened in that book was whenever we got Magnus's point of view with the creepy sister thing and just ew. But as far as Lena goes, I don't mind her doing that. It's just the fact that she did it so many times that it irked me and annoyed me to no end. And just her as a character, I found her rather whiny at the first part. Like, she knows she's this kick-butt assassin, but there's nothing that I saw that really made me think that she was a kick-ass assassin except the last part of the book. And if you don't show me how she's a kick-ass assassin until the end of the book, I'm not gonna be intrigued. Like, I'd rather have this started whenever she was an assassin, and at the end of the book they captured her, rather than it starting where it started, because I think it would have been a much more intriguing story to follow Selena, the assassin, before she got into Endeavor, which is, I'm pretty sure, what the Assassin's Blade is about, so maybe I'll pick that up before I go into Crown of Midnight, because I think the Assassin's Blade, if that's what it's about, should be the first book. Throne of Glass should have been the second one. Crown of Midnight, the third and fourth, and so on, so on. So, and as for my ships, I love Kale and Selena together. It was a bit more mature. I like how it's more of a slow burn relationship, and they didn't kiss or anything, because fucking Dorian has to cock block everything. Or freaking, what's her face? Nahima, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Nahima had to cock block them, and so did freaking Dorian. I just wanted one single kiss. It was kind of like the frustration I felt about Helene and Elias, like how everyone and their mother would cock block them too from kissing, even though the main character wanted to kiss them, and I'm just all like, ugh, why do none of my ships nowadays get to kiss? But Dorian gets like fucking 30,000 kisses in this one because him and Selena had like a little bit of a thing, which really irks me too, because it was it's not like super insta-lovey, but at the same time, I only seemingly remember her having like a couple conversations with Dorian in this book, and she had more conversations with Kale, so, it doesn't irk me whenever she talks about liking Kale, because that's a little bit more realistic than her liking Dorian, because it's like, when Dorian enters, the room just fades away, and I can't tell you how much of a fucking cliche that is. Right there, I'm guessing it's realistic, but at the same time, I'm just all like, eh. And I've seen it so much that it kind of irks me in books. I think this is one of my new bookish pet peeves, is when they have the whole, and then suddenly the world stops because there's this one guy who's more attractive than the other. Although Kale seems to be a little bit more of a better choice for Selena, because he keeps her a little bit level-headed. And he trains her, and he actually makes her better. Like, I love Kale and Selena's scene in the ring when she was getting beaten by Kane, and I'll get to how much that angers me in a minute about the whole Kane thing. Kane being this whole, assassin who's been killing assassins thing, because, I'll tell you why in a minute. But I love the scene between them, because Dorian just fucking stands there and does fucking nothing. Like, he's frozen in place, and yeah, sometimes that happens, I get it. But if someone I loved was getting hurt, I would have damned the consequences. At least made sure they were at least okay, like Kale did, and the one scene I loved was him telling her to get up, like, it's what helped her a little bit. That, and he kills Kane for her. I mean, who wouldn't want Kale as their boyfriend? Fictional boyfriend, Kale, heart. If Selena doesn't want you, I'll take you, whatever. But no, and then Dorian just stands there and does nothing about it, and yeah, some parts I get, and some parts I'm just like, okay, it could have at least, done something or other, at least slapped fucking Colton or something. Can I say how much of an unnecessary point of view Colton's was in this book? I didn't like her. It was stupid to even have that. Like, you ruin the most interesting parts of the book just by explaining them in a different point of view, which is another thing that irks me about the book in general, is that all the action that I would love to see in Throne of Glass wasn't there. It was talked about, yes, it was glitzed over and glamorified, and all the boring parts stayed in Throne of Glass, but none of the really, really, really interesting parts that I would like to see. Like, the murders or something. At least have, like, you don't even have to do the murderer part. He could have been like a faceless, maskless guy. Kane could have, the tributes could have I call them tributes now, whatever. The assassins could have not saw that it was Kane. We could have went through their perspectives of what it was like for them to die. It would have been 10 times more interesting. Kind of like how they say that the king went to that White Mountain stuff and came back and all his men were killed. I would have loved to see that perspective, something interesting, something that was gripping, something that kept me in that story besides Selena freaking talking about her dresses every 20 minutes and bitching about something. It's like, girl, you were a slave. You actually make me feel like you're kind of ungrateful for things you have at the moment, and it really irks me because she reminds me of a 15-year-old. Especially when she was threatening the guys and going like, oh my god, I'm the best assassin ever and I'll slit your throat and I'll make you. She reminds me of, do you know those girls who come up to people and threaten to fight them and go, yeah, come on, you fucking pussy, come, hit me, and then they finally do, and then they fall on their ass. She kind of reminded me of those girls, but she did prove to me that she wasn't like those girls in the last act. But if it took that long for the last act to show how kick-ass she was, it really didn't, stick with me. Also, I'm not gonna say Selena isn't badass because I can never make a shank out of fucking bobby pins. I guess I could, but, we do what we do. And that was impressive, and some of her skills were impressive. I'll give her that. That she was really smart in some places, but really dumb in others. Like, okay, here's Kane, he's killing people, and yet you refuse to tell Kale for whatever goddamn reason. Besides you want to know more about it? Okay, just, fuck. Give me something that makes you likable. I mean, for every likable thing Selena did, she had something that made her unlikable. Unlikable in the next scene. And oh my god, the one scene that was my least favorite scene is talking about fucking periods. Periods. Okay, I'm a woman. I know women get periods. I don't want a descriptive detail about how painful periods are, because I already know. I already know that periods can be painful and they suck ass. And yeah, I know that. I get that. I'm a woman. I know. I have periods all the fucking time. I don't want to know that Selena is having her period and that's why she's cramping. And then one sweet moment when she has a gale, she pukes on the floor. That was rather fucking disgusting. I didn't need that imagery in my mind, and I surely don't want to read about periods in a fucking book. Even though they are realistic, and it takes away from the story, and it was a part of the book that I didn't really want in there to begin with. Other scenes that I could have done with, all the Colton scenes, I could have done without her as a character in general. I mean, what was she even there for besides being a scapegoat for Parrington? Which, how that ended. Other scenes that irked me. Okay, when she gets the dog, and yet she doesn't want to take care of it. Okay, whatever. I get it somewhat, but you remind me of a 5-year-old child who just wants something, and then they refuse to take care of it, and then it dies, and I hope that dog doesn't die, because that dog really seems cute. Other things I could discuss. I'm trying to think of all the scenes that irked me, and everyone's that I thought was really cool. Fight scene was really cool, yeah. Her thing with Dorian kind of annoyed me a little bit, even though I love Dorian as a character by himself. I like her friendship with Nehema and her relationship with Kale, because I'm Team Kale all the way. I love how freaking he killed Kane because of her. Oh yeah, that was another thing that annoyed me. Okay, if you're gonna make a killer, elite someone killing assassins, don't make it the most obvious fucking choice. Okay. I could have told you Kane was a fucking killer from a mile away. As soon as they said assassins are dead, fucking, of course, I'm gonna say it's gonna be Kane. Because, I said straight up, it better not be Kane. Because it would be too simple. It would be too predictable. I thought for a long while it was gonna be her friend Knox, which, why have Knox in the store if you're just gonna make him run off? That was stupid to me. He served really no purpose except to be a little bit of a friend to Selena. Even though I love Knox as a character, why was he there? As far as freaking Kane being the killer. That was totally simple. It was boring. It was predictable. If she wanted me to keep me a little bit, at least interested, she would have had it as someone else. Even Grave would have been a little bit more of a surprise than fucking Kane. And then, if I was a writer, I would have made it Nox, have her best friend betray her, because that makes for good writing technique and a good plot twist. But no, it has to be fucking Kane. Most obvious choice in the fucking world. Okay, you want to write a book? That's gonna be my nitpick. I'm gonna nitpick at that so hard because it's so simple and it's so predictable. And yeah, I want Selena to be kick ass. I didn't want her to be poisoned. So we have to see the weak Selena try to fight. But alright, okay, I'll let that slip. I'll let that slide. Is there anything I'm willing to talk about? Oh no, it's another thing that bothered me about this book is how slow it is. I really didn't like the slowness. I really hated, not even liked. I really hated how all the action was shown off screen. I'm nitpicking at the story. Yeah, it can be the best story ever, but at the same time, it really sucks that you call this an assassin story whenever, I don't see anything assassin about Selena. I mean, I really hope, I'm gonna probably continue it. I'm gonna probably get Crown of Midnight from my library though, so I don't spend another freaking $18 on a book. Well, I spent $11 on this, and it was still too much money because I didn't really like it as much as everyone claims I would have. I prefer Fallen Kingdoms over this. Maybe it will be better when there's a little bit more magic involved, a little bit more assassination. But here, it's just plain Jane. It's just a whiny teen. She's just a whiny teenager with some kick-ass powers. Even Harper from Rebel Bell seems more kick-ass than Selena does at the moment, and I'm sorry for everyone who likes Selena. She just wasn't a very kick-ass character. Whenever I think of kick-ass character assassin types, I think of Helene from fucking Ember in the Ashes. Yeah, she feels cold towards people, she kicks ass, and when she actually threatens to kick ass, she actually fucking does it. She doesn't sit there like, I'm gonna kick your ass, and never do anything about it until the very last minute that she actually absolutely has to. Yeah, I get you can't kick everyone's ass, but please, don't threaten every 10 seconds to kick someone's ass if you're not gonna do anything about it till the very last end of the book. But I'm sorry for the rant. I didn't want to make this a rant about Throne of Glass. There was a lot of charming parts about it, but I did feel bad for Selena for a lot of parts, especially how her parents died. That was brutal, and I wish we would have seen more of the vulnerable Selena. I wish she would have been more like Helene in this sense, where she was a strong protagonist that actually really kicked ass, but she had some vulnerability to her, and the love triangles, well, it didn't bother me. It probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. Like, that's another thing that really irked me is how she switched so quickly from Dorian to Kale, Dorian to Kale, Dorian to Kale. It's kind of like every fucking love triangle cliche ever wrapped into one book. And I heard that she has another love interest coming along in this series, and God help me if it kind of like switches from Dorian to Kale to fucking whoever this guy's name is, because I'm gonna get really irked by this love quadrangle really quick, just like I was by this love triangle. I swear I almost puked at some Dorian and Selena scenes because they were so fucking cliche. Well, killing Selena, which actually reminds me of an honest-to-God real couple, gets blown aside for this fantasy of a girl getting treated like a princess. And yeah, I get it. We all want to get treated like princesses, but sometimes we need our boyfriends to be firm and treat us like a princess at the same time. Yeah, Kale doesn't treat Selena like a princess whatsoever by any means, but he could. And he does feel generally bad for her during most parts, and he does do what he needs to help her, which is kind of why I don't get the Dorian thing, because Dorian is just there. Dorian to me, he's just there to compliment her and make her feel pretty. It's just, it didn't go into real depths except the kissing and the whole, oh, I kind of like this person, but I didn't see chemistry there. I didn't feel the chemistry between Dorian and Selena like I did Kale and Selena. That's why I'm a Kale and Selena fan, but I'm gonna stop ranting. I'm sorry. I really want this series to pick up and be better than what Throne of Glass was, and I heard Crown of Midnight was better, so I'm gonna get Crown of Midnight, I'm gonna read it, and then hopefully I like Selena more. Hopefully she has mass character development to where she's actually bearable and she doesn't remind me of a 15-year-old fucking girl. Girl, rather than she's 18, and I get she's in the whole scary new adult world, and she still wants to hold out for a teenager because you could fight me on the whole. Well, she had a traumatic experience, so she's trapped in that thing, in which I'll agree with you. Okay, I'll totally agree with you, but for now, I kind of want her everything that's happened to her to strengthen her and not make her like this weak character. And that's all I had to say for now about it. Thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry if this video offends anyone. And I'll see you for my next bookaboo.